Now that it is officially the new year, 2024 is already bringing us some very, very crazy stuff with contracts and some big names I did not expect to be making transitions this soon, but I'm very glad they did. Let's get into it. All right, so I actually just ran 12 miles. If I do seem a little bit low energy, that's why. I'm really tired, but there's some really exciting stuff that I really want to talk about, so let's get into it. Be sure to check out my bags and the link down below. It is truly what supports me, and I really appreciate it. There's about 4 or 5 big contracts that have officially been dropped. With that, there's also some potential consequences of those actions. So I definitely want to spend some time talking about what is going to be going down with that, because I think stuff like Eagle is definitely going to be much more likely to make moves now that these other things have actually come into fruition. All right, so first up, we have to talk about Prodigy. It is definitely the mass exodus. For the 5th time with Prodigy, people are leaving in mass quantities. Starting off with a few lesser known names, we have GT Hancock and Parker Welk, who you may remember as winning the DDO, totally crazy stuff. But the real standouts for Prodigy were Alden and Gannon officially leaving. There were so many moments that we thought, are they actually gonna leave? Are they still trolling us because they said stuff about Innova? They had the Innova Disc Collectors Facebook group that they joined, and there was just so much unknown, but it is official. They are actually leaving. I think everyone is kind of relieved, because I think it would be just super lame to not leave if you are Gannon. You have this huge lawsuit. It was basically making the biggest waves in the year of 2023. So for him to stay would have been just absurd, but I'm very glad he's leaving. It is not clear who any of these people are joining, but that will definitely be happening a lot closer to the beginning of the season. But of course, Gannon is not one to leave us hanging. He was definitely trolling very, very hard in his leaving video, where he quoted Discmania, Discraft, and Dynamic. I think it is just so hilarious that he has that form of wittiness, even in the most serious moments. So I love to see that. But realistically, if he's mentioning all 3 brands, and he even mentioned Discmania, then yeah, I'm thinking Discmania is probably where he's going to go. And that does ultimately mean that there's going to be major stuff going down with Discmania, because I doubt they can afford that many new players. So what is Eagle going to do? Is he going to leave? We'll definitely be finding out very, very soon. And then, of course, Gavin Babcock says, Frank Lintus ain't ready for you. And if you're not aware, that's the most budget brand there is. I've actually thrown their mids. It was madness. But overall, I think it really is a good fit for Gannon to go to Discmania, get some Tour Series discs, and kind of just reinvent who he is as a public sponsored player, because there was just so much news about his lawsuit and everything going down with that. So finally moving on, becoming less of a controversial player and more just of a total crusher would be awesome. And if Eagle is to leave, then that means we finally get to see a new version of Cloudbreakers, or whatever Gannon's new iteration of DD3s are going to look like. I'm very excited to see what that will look like. But really, I think Discmania has been making really good plastic recently. I don't think they get a lot of press because they kind of are just pumping out so much stuff and it's hard to keep track of it all. But I'm definitely very excited to see what will come of that sponsorship, if it is to happen, because it's not a guarantee. But I was thinking it was going to happen beforehand, and now that he is officially leaving, I could not imagine him going to DD, going to Discraft. That is just not going to happen. So it is probably going to be Discmania. And then as far as Alden Harris, I really don't know. I would assume he might just be tagging along with Discmania, but there really is no indication to where he will go. So for now, it's just pure speculation. I could see him going to DD. I could see him going really anywhere. So I have no clue, but it does kind of make sense that if they are kind of a tag team duo, that he might go to Discmania. We'll have to see. On his recent post, he said, be on the lookout for an announcement soon. And then there are 2 other players that I really want to talk about. First one being Niklas. Obviously, as a European player, and one of the best European players, there's a lot more variables at play, because we just don't know what kind of value he brings to the European scene, because basically every brand wants to get their name out there in Europe so much more than they are currently. So if you are Niklas, you have a lot of leverage that no one else truly has, besides maybe Simon, but not really. But with that said, he is officially leaving Discmania. When I started playing in 2015, my goal was clear. I wanted to be good at this thing. I wanted to win Finnish Championship. I could only dream about something bigger like the European Championships or Majors. Those dreams scared me, and some of them still do. I always wanted to make disc golf my job. One of my dreams came true in 2021 after winning the European Championship in Konopiste, and later that year we signed a 2-year extension with Discmania. I could call myself a professional athlete, and I played in the US for the last 2 years. I am so grateful to Discmania for their willingness to help me go after my dreams. However, after 3 Finnish champion titles European champion title, and numerous memories, it's time to turn a new page in my career. Announcement about my future will be coming in the next few weeks, so I'm definitely very excited to see what does come of Niklas. I think he's truly one of the GOATs. I think he's one of the best players in the sport right now. Same with Gannon. So with these players already announcing that they're leaving, I am very, very enthralled to see where they're going to be going, because there's basically no clue as to where Niklas will go. I'm thinking maybe it is Prodigy. Maybe they get some big names and that happens to be Niklas, because especially with all these players leaving Prodigy, they have to get some big names out there, and they definitely will have a lot more budget than they will in previous years because they're losing a lot of players. So maybe Niklas will be picked up there. Wherever he does go, I'm very certain he will have a good 2024 season because he's just such an elite player, and I'm so excited to see where he does go. With that said, I actually might be playing with him next month, so be sure to be on the lookout for that video if it does come, because that would be so hype. But with that said, there is one major player that just signed that I bet you guys probably already know about, but we still have to talk about it. It is Anthony Bodanza, officially becoming the first YouTuber to sign a true disc golf deal. I don't really know what you call it. But I think it is basically the same contract as the other players, sponsored by Infinite. So while his deal may be a little bit less in the actual salary numbers, I think this really is a true deal with Infinite. There is no asterisks. This is an actual player contract for Anthony, and it is just so cool. As a disc golf influencer, I'm very excited for this, and I would love to personally get sponsored by Innova or Discraft or Infinite. So hit me up in the DMs. But with that said, it is so cool to see this. It has been a long time coming. I think a lot of us were actually kind of wondering if it was going to happen sooner. He will be throwing one Infinite disc in his bag the entire year. I don't really know as to what the numbers look like or anything, but one major thing that he pointed out is that all the manufacturing, all the shipping and handling will be done by Infinite. It is no longer a thing that he has to work on, which is super nice. I've been dealing with a lot of trying to figure out logistics for my company, and it is hard. It's also expensive, and it's really difficult to figure out what you need to do and how you can afford it all, because it's all just so very complicated, especially for a one-man band like him and me. So I'm very excited to see how that does pan out for him. If he does end up playing more Tour Series events, I'm not really expecting him to be on any league card coverage, but seeing him on any live would be so cool. And I definitely look forward to him being in his next chapter, where finances are hopefully less of an issue as a full-time touring player. Obviously he has his YouTube, and that will definitely not wane at all, but he will be probably doing a lot more events this year than he has in any previous years as far as Elite Series or Silver Series go. So very excited for that. And then lastly, I know we already touched on it a little bit, but where is Eagle going to go? I think this is a very crucial moment for Discmania. Will Eagle actually be able to be retained at Discmania? I really don't think so. I think it is really Eagle's time to maximize his true full value. And obviously disc golf contracts are not what they once were. You cannot get a huge salaried contract unless you are the most elite pro out there. So even though there will be probably a little bit of a pullback in the amount of money given to all these sponsored players, I still believe that there will be a lot of money for the top pros, Eagle being one of them. So will he be able to make the same amount at MVP that Simon does? I mean, I don't think so. Eagle is a great player, but he doesn't have the same pull as other players. There is just no way that he has the same value as Simon. But with that said, what is his value? Is it 3/4 of Simon? I really don't know, but I'm very excited to see where he does go, because this really will be a huge point for any company that he does sign with. If it is a smaller company like Clash, I think they would totally explode. If it's somebody like MVP, I think it'll be good, but I don't really know if that'll be the same push that it was when Simon signed for MVP. So with that said, I don't know for sure if Eagle will leave, but I think it is inevitable that something will come out soon enough, and we will finally get to see what the future of the 2024 season looks like, especially because it is coming pretty darn soon. We have some events in February, so I definitely think we'll get some big announcement very soon. Alden and Gannon are officially leaving Prodigy. Finally, Anthony gets his contract. Hype. And Niklas is officially leaving Discmania. So with that said, what do you guys think about all these changes? I'd love to know. Do you have any projections as to where these players will be going? I will also be very intrigued to see what you guys think about that, because I bet a lot of you probably have seen a lot of leaks here and there, so I'm very excited to see what that entails. With that said, be sure to subscribe and be sure to check out my bags and link down below. It is truly what supports me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Wild Runs, signing out. Peace.